Oh. Good
Hi,
afternoon.
everybody.
Thanks for joining us today. Today is day 6 of Live with Rabs and live from Rabs. And I don't know. Again, I'm still confused. What day is today?
It is Thursday.
Thursday.
It's Thursday.
Thursday. The garbage goes out tomorrow.
My garbage goes out tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Yes.
So we go out tomorrow night. Kevin, as we're waiting, as we're getting ready and letting people come into the show, Kevin Rourke made sure to point out it's not the 2:00 show; it's the 2:05. Thanks, Kevin. We're trying to make sure we get people some ample time to come in and join us. So, thanks for popping in and joining us again today. Today would have been opening day.
Opening day, and for baseball fans everywhere, it's a little bit melancholy. I mean, I know that they're showing reruns of classic baseball on MLB, but it's still sad. I mean, we wanted to see baseball. We were ready, especially as Met fans. You know, we were looking forward to a great season, and we already have one down, and the season hasn't started yet, but
Less than the Yankees, though.
Less than the Yankees. Yankees have had plenty of time to heal up, so by the time the season starts, they should be in full action.
I don't think anybody would be. I mean, would this work if we were not both Met fans? I mean, we'd probably make it work, but
it would be a different conversation right now.
We should, you know what? Maybe that's what we do before the season starts.
We'll invite a Yankee fan to come and sit.
Maybe John Venosa's got to come in here.
Yeah, Joe Cal. Joe Cal's a good guy too.
Oh, so we'll have nice and not so nice, polarizing, not polarizing. Like maybe that'll work. I mean, if anybody follows John, if Kevin also had social media, it might be a little different too.
Yes.
You want to talk about the ticket opportunity? I mean, it's a great opportunity.
Frankie would like to raffle off 2 of our season tickets to this afternoon's game. It's not happening.
So any takers to go there now?
If anybody's interested, we have 2 tickets. You would probably have a fine time at Citi Field. The field is beautiful. The parking lot, I'm sure, is probably close to empty. And you have a lot of space to do whatever you wanted to do.
You know, I wonder how many people actually are going out there just to tailgate outside the stadium today. I bet you there are people that are just going out there to.
Too bad we don't know anybody that might be around there. We can ask them to remote us.
Oh, well, hey, it's we can't wait. It looks like they're shooting for the week of May 10th to get the season started. So we hope that's the case. I mean, it's the land of the unknowns. We don't know, but that's what it looks like. They've got tickets for sale at least for the Mets opener with May 15th. We saw. So let's hope that late May we can get back to some sports on TV
for baseball fans and sports fans everywhere. And they made an announcement yesterday or the day before that the Olympics are postponed until next year too. So, you feel bad for those athletes that have been training, some of them their whole lives, for that opportunity. And sometimes it's a one-time opportunity. And, it's unfortunate, but the interviews I saw, a lot of them looked positive, like they would be able to compete in next year's games. And a lot of them felt it was best to not take a chance at this time, and for safety's sake, for their sake, their coaches' sakes, the other athletes' sake, to wait a year.
I was excited to watch sport climbing for the first time in the Olympics. I have to say, the Japanese have been training for sport climbing. I mean, if you ever watch a Japanese game show, they've been training for sport climbing to be in the Olympics all of these years. And this was it. This was 2020.
Sport climbing?
Yeah. That's a new Olympic sport, Naz. Come on, let's get with it.
I'm out of the loop, obviously.
The sad part is if they were athletes looking to retire, meaning the last Olympics, that physically aren't able to compete after this year, I would hope that they can make it and make it work.
That's what
another year. So, hey, the Olympics Tokyo 2021. I would imagine that that has to be a huge decision to make. let alone the TV rights on top of everything else.
A tremendous amount of money that was spent by the hosting city and country, years and years of investments of, stadiums being built, venues being built. This is, it's not something that you plan in a year. This has been planned for a long time, I think 8 years. So it's a little sad.
Yeah, and even more sad because this was the Olympic bowling got snubbed, but that's another conversation. So today we've got another special guest, and we're talking bowling. And our United States Bowling Congress Executive Director, Chad Murphy, is with us today. And so, Chad.
As Chad comes in, somebody, Michael William Endress, has posted that he thinks that they were using the parking lot for drive-through testing.
Oh.
That's interesting. I'm going to see if I can find that out.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Michael might know. Well, so while we had Chad waiting in the wings, he's now changed his hat a couple times.
I've got them all. But I'm in for opening day. Don't bother with the Yankee fans. I heard you guys talking about bringing a Yankee fan in. If you're really going to talk about baseball and franchises, you want to be serious about who you have on your show. So thanks for having me. Obviously, we're missed opening day around here too.
So how does that work in a split house like yours? So Cardinal fans, Cubs fans.
Well, we struggle. We actually have, I just showed you my Cardinal logo. This is a Northwest high school baseball cap, which Joshua plays for, my oldest. Then this is a Cooperstown Cobras hat. So we have all kinds of synergies, right? This is the club team both my boys play for, which we, wear these hats all the time. And then, the other two, they have a team that they support. I think I like to call them the Little Bears. Some other folks, I call them the Cubs. But we make it through. Baseball's a lot of fun around here, especially when those Cardinals and Cubs are competitive.
We might take your advice on not letting the Yankee fans into the studio.
Especially the way you're dressed.
Well, I mean, this is not the everyday garb. I mean, we're just, it's opening day.
We actually thought about tailgating in the parking lot, but way across from each other. But we're stuck in here.
I mean,
that would have been fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, social distancing in the parking lot. I mean, we'll be throwing burgers at each other.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're cooped up at home. What's happening in the Murphy household right now?
I mean, the main drag is I came home yesterday to work from home, kind of permanently until we're out of this. But the main thing that's going on here is trying to keep Dad off the Wi-Fi. I would tell you is the main piece. My little man came in yesterday and was concerned that I was using too much Wi-Fi. But we're healthy and happy here. We're blessed. We're wishing everyone good thoughts around the country. There's a lot going on with this virus, and we're blessed to say that everybody here and around us is healthy and spirits are high.
When was the last time the kids were out on the diamonds?
It's been a little while now. I'm not even sure. It's been a few weeks. Noah was supposed to play last weekend. They played, I guess, 2 weeks before that. But they've been out of school now for quite a while and plan to be out for a little while longer. But hey, whenever everybody's healthy and they give the all clear, we'll be back out there. They're in the front yard, playing catch and hitting balls into the net. And Jen's got them doing a lot of chores, which isn't exactly what they want to be doing. But we're fortunate to be healthy for sure.
Is it bothering the kids more, or Supermom Jen that they're not playing baseball?
Oh, well, I mean, that's probably a tie. I would tell you. Obviously, we, do a lot of things around here, but we certainly try to give them the opportunity to do all that they can. And so when you lose some of that, it's a little rough. But I'm not sure because imagine Jen, being out on a baseball diamond. I don't miss the yelling that goes on, but at the same time. We look to get back out there soon.
I had the opportunity to witness that. I mean, and Jen's all in.
I would expect nothing less.
Yeah, for sure.
I did, we have Chad here in Super Bowl driller Chad. I got a comment from the lawyer Barinello that wanted to talk about Joe Bruno's thumb pitch. So anybody that tuned in earlier in the week, no, we're staying away from that. Earlier in the week, we got a little technical, and so the ratings went down right away. Viewers just dropped off the call and ran away from us. So Chad, thank you for coming and spending a little time with us. We've been doing this for the last 6 days. This is day 10, 10 and a half for us, so closing the bowling center down. And we're just trying to, if you haven't tuned into us before, we're staying in touch with our community, our bowlers, talking all things bowling and what's happening around us. The last few days, we've had some great guests.
Yeah.
And so, Chad, we really do appreciate you taking the time to come and join us today.
Absolutely. Happy to be a part of it. Appreciate and love what you're doing. Should be said as well. I think it's great.
I mean, we're trying to keep our own sanity at the same time, too. So it might be an excuse.
Well, your backdrop's awesome, right? I mean, I know we know each other well enough to just talk about how important bowling centers are to the community, but you're reaching out from within one while we can't have folks in them. So I just think it's great. Thanks for doing it.
Thanks, Chad.
I mean, we appreciate, and we love that everybody's coming in and tuning in with us. We can see who's on, and we love seeing people from all over the country join us. I mean, even all over the world. So friends that are in different places, just checking in on us. And then the text messages have been awesome too. So we really have to say thank you to everybody for the support. And we keep saying it, but it really is true. We miss seeing everybody's faces. I know you probably don't miss ours, but you're going to miss ours. And when we get back to bowling, we'll be a little bit more excited.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that's much sooner
than later.
Sooner than later. So Chad, there's a lot happening in bowling and at USBC, and this is historically a really busy time for bowling. College bowling, the opening of the women's and Open championships. Kicking off the women's tour, and so you've been talking a little. The last couple of weeks, you guys have been pumping out the information to everybody, letting them know what's going on, and so. I mean, it's got to be hard, and having been involved in that for quite some time, and a little bit still today, these aren't easy things to talk about. They're not easy decisions to make, but I mean, one of the world's largest participating sporting event would be happening right now.
Yeah.
And what does that mean for bowling? What does that mean to you? The Open Championships, a little bit on pause at the moment.
Yeah, it's tough. Obviously, there aren't a whole lot of reasons why it would be on hold. And so if there was one, public health is a good one. And so that makes it easier. But we are missing seeing a lot of the faces. We were set to bowl with our teams, last Saturday night. I know there's a lot of folks who haven't been able to, participate already. And so I think it's easier in the fact that we're still, working towards having the Open and Women's Championships, and everyone who wants to come to bowl will still provide an opportunity. May 23rd is the tentative start date at this point. We'll continue to listen to the experts and the CDC and the information coming out of the government, and honestly, the local governments in Nevada where the two tournaments are being held, and we'll make a decision shortly. Some of the other ones that are, more heartbreaking because we didn't have a positive result, ITCs, ISCs, sectionals, we had to, pull the plug really late there. And then, the calendar isn't on our side with eligibility, and some of the colleges, had made the decisions to shut down. And so having to cancel that one, completely was certainly a heartbreaker and sad, especially for the seniors, especially for the, coaches and players that have worked so hard throughout the year. We've gotten a lot of questions and those things. We just, keep trying to motor through them. Luckily, we're still open for business. We've, moved everybody into a work from home environment. So if you send an email or give us a call at USBC and IBC Youth, we're still taking all the customer service that we can handle. But yeah, I mean, it's been disappointing over the last few weeks to have to make some of the decisions that we have. But at the same time, when you start talking about public health and people's safety, it does make the decisions a little bit easier, as you go through it.
Well, yeah, think about the amount. I think what we lose sight of when it comes to these events is how many people are in one place at one time, traveling to the event. We're not just driving; we're getting in planes. We're traveling across the country to participate, and the amount of people in the venue.
And it's not just the athletes; it's the staff, it's the coaching staff, it's the parents or family that travel too, and it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah, and you two know, as longtime, bowling center folks, but also then as volunteers in your local area, state, and local association, comings and goings, if you will, and even nationally. The crazy part about this is really the coolest part for bowling, which is we touch all of it, and you guys know locally there. The other thing that was going on, in addition to our national events, were local and state events that were going on. Pepsi championships all across the country. All of those decisions were having to be made throughout our pipeline. And again, it would take a public health emergency like this probably to shut bowling down. It's probably the only thing that would, because we have so many great volunteers like the two of you, and people doing all the work locally, and it's just so important. But I know everybody's looking forward to getting back up and running, but we got to follow the scientists and the experts at this point, and just prepare to be able to turn it back on when we can.
Yeah, we had one of our largest regional team events, the state youth, beginning of the month, and the kids were looking forward to Pepsi, and that was the heartbreaker. It was right before the closing of the bowling centers. We were getting ready to make some changes to the event to accommodate. And then, of course, we were shut down, which, hey, it's a good thing. We have to do what we have to do.
Yeah.
But the kids are disappointed. So, I mean, we're going to still name some state champions and recognize them accordingly. But they certainly were disappointed. But hey,
one of the really unique things going on, and you just hit on a piece of it, right? Our events, people are flying cross country to get to the local events. People are driving in. The virus is impacting states differently. It's just amazing how, much in a very short period of time. I mean, 2-3 days, 4 days, the world changed. But they're also very different. Again, national events versus local. It's been interesting to see how the whole thing's really been shut down. While it took a while to get to that, for sure. And I know you guys were, right there in the middle of it locally. So, we appreciate you, looking out for everybody there.
Yeah, and when you put in perspective the Open Championships, World War II was the last time it was shut down, right?
Yeah,
and
the 115 years of history there. It takes a lot to shut those events down, but hopefully, the calendar's on our side with the Open and the Women's. We've got great partners, great venues out there that are going to work with us to try to extend the tournament. And hopefully whenever we get the clear, again, if our members want to still come at different times, we'll make it available. We've heard some good chatter. Some folks are saying, you better not shut that thing down. Some folks are saying you should. But in the end, it'll be a personal choice for everybody that wants to make the decision when it becomes time to make those decisions. Our message has just kind of been, hey, you guys take care of yourself, your families, everybody around you, and we'll figure it out when we're clear to do so. Really thinking about the folks around you and what's going on in New York, and the medical workers and everything. God bless everybody around you that that's doing that. But we are making plans to service the members as time goes forward.
Yeah, we were scheduled to bowl right before convention, and Grandpa Jim Episcopia is nearing his 20th Open Championships, and he says to me, "You're the only reason why we're going," because he tells me that I'm pushing him. I said, "Jim," we go, we have a great time. So we're gonna. I can't. It's a great weekend, and so we're looking forward to figuring out when we can make that trip. But I mean, I've been pushing that poor old man. I know he's watching. So hey, it's something everybody really should do, and so yeah, it'll be a little bit later than usual, and I think. I think we're damned if we do, damned if we don't, right? No matter what we do. And I think that's with all these decisions. In some cases, it's too early. It's too late. And nobody really knows. We're doing the best that we can. And so you guys are doing a good job at that. So thank you.
Well,
So-
I'd be remiss if I didn't say happy birthday to Grandpa Jim, but at the same time, uh, but the thing that you hit on there that I think is so important is it's an experience, right? And so we've had a lot of dialogue about whether folks are going to be looking for an experience like that, after we're through this, and we think obviously that providing that is important.
So we did have a question about junior gold.
Okay.
And if there was going to be a decision made, or what kind of talks might be going on about the junior gold tournament.
I mean, it's a popular question because
Oh,
we
yeah.
have a lot of kids from the area that
Yes.
are bowling, and so it's top of mind right now. They just finished youth championships. They're in some cases they're missing some qualifying opportunities, which
Yes.
we're going to make sure they have them. But hey, that event's in July. Where are we at?
Yeah, two things there. One of the things we have on the deck is possible probable extension of the qualifying date. If we can get bowling centers back opened up, we would extend the qualifying date to later in the year. And Zach and Gary, have selected a date. We're waiting on a little research. What we have going on directly about the event in total is that we met last week. We decided to get into the field, have some conversations in the marketplace with some coordinators, some parents, kind of see where everybody's at on it, some light, polling, if you will, through direct conversations. And then we actually have a meeting tomorrow morning where we'll get back together and kind of look at where we're at. So everybody, here has been working on it for about a week. I would tell you, generally speaking, with the way the CDC set the date, at 8 weeks, 2 Sundays now ago, that's the middle of May. And so you kind of have till then to make the decision. Doesn't mean we have to wait that long, if we were going to pull the plug. But at this point in time, we're looking to having the event, trying to find a direction to be able to do that. But without more information from the authorities at this point, we're in a kind of, hey, what are our options? And let's look at all of them and then try to do what we can. Could we condense the event to a smaller number of days? There's a lot of folks around the country that are certainly in distress when you think about families and people that have been put out of work through this. But we're really looking at all of it at this point. We'll continue to monitor, and we're going to continue to communicate with mediums like this. As we did a few weeks ago, we pushed out a video this morning. There's some more PR and communications next week. But at this point in time, it's still a go, pending the dates from the CDC. If they extend, then we'll have to look at it again. Obviously, the calendar isn't on our side. What happened with the Olympics, Naz, thanks for bringing that up a few minutes ago, is kind of indicative of where the world's at today. I think one of the quotes that I heard from that, because the IOC, moved quickly to say that, hey, we're going to make a decision in 4 weeks, and then a day later they postponed. Right. And I think one of the things there is, it's amazing how fast you can move when a lot of eyes are on you. The calendar to make a decision is on our side. The calendar of being able to move it is not, assuming that the kids go back to school, in the fall. And so there's a lot to consider, but we're reaching out, as we like to do, into the marketplace, having some conversations with some folks, and we'll follow up with some information there when something or if something has changed. But right now is our intent is to, hopefully get our hands on this virus through the medical and health professionals, get the clearance and go ahead and go, if we can, in a responsible way with a decision in a few weeks.
I mean, so junior gold, it's on. We should be talking about more exciting things, right? So the event's going to start. What do we have to look forward to? The opening of that event, is kids going to travel? We take for granted that our viewers that everybody knows what this event truly is and the impact that it has. I mean, it's turned it from the time that I had the opportunity to compete to what it's become is this amazing event. And so 2020 Junior Gold, what does it look like?
It looks incredible. It looks awesome. That's the easy way to say it. Obviously, we've a lot of work from folks like you and our volunteers to help us, make some decisions years ago. But spots sold are going to break a record, but go blow by it again. I think 800 more this year than we had the last couple years. The events in Vegas, there's a new PWBA activation that is set and scheduled to go with it. As part of the opening ceremonies, we're going to crown a PWBA champion that night in front of girls who are aspiring to be that. A trade show with over 12,000 people that attend now. When you think about how it's evolved, it's been amazing, and I know there's a critical nature that comes with it too. But some of the really important things, like the collegiate experience, where all the college coaches are at tables and talking to recruits, and the Team USA activation that comes with it. Of course, the competition, crowning national champions in a sport that is defined by being a sport. Without that, I'm not sure we would be that. So it's amazing. And Frankie, I appreciate the question, because I get goosebumps when I talk about it. It's a lot of fun to be a part of. It's a lot of fun to I remember my first junior gold. I remember every experience, the conversations that you have with parents and kids, and the support. But also, seeing the looks on their faces when they put Team USA jerseys on, and when we crown them as champions. They're every bit as incredible athletes as any other sport, and I think that's the apex of youth bowling takes place at that event, and including some experiences that we've tried to cultivate to make it more fun, family vacation-ish, those types of things. So I appreciate the question. I know that's a long answer, but pretty amazing what our volunteers have put in place, and all the folks around the country supported in that event.
There are no words. In some case, there are no words until you enter one of those bowling centers and see what's happening around you. The opening ceremonies, from what it was to what it's become. Right. I have to say, perfect timing. Jim Zebahazy came on and is watching, and so I want to say hello to Jim. And I mean, if it wasn't for him and his team at the time to start the event, it wouldn't have the ability to be what it is today. So thank you.
I've said it.
Make sure to say thank you to Jim.
Yeah. I've said it multiple times, Jim and David Doms, and, they started something wonderful, and it's just been our responsibility to make sure that it just keeps better and better. One of the great things about that event, a lot of people don't look at it because we think of it as a national event, but all the local tournaments and the centers that, have competitions, it's not just the national piece, it's the local qualifying where, kids that are crowned champions to even go. And I don't know how Jim and everybody came up with that in the beginning, but their vision was spot on at the time. That's for sure. So thanks for that.
Yeah, it's like 17 years that we ourselves have been running qualifiers and sending kids to the event. And it's from the first year that we sent one, Dave Kaczynski qualified, and he was the first one to represent Rabs at Junior Gold, to today where we've got 30 athletes, at least 30 athletes going to compete. I mean, you got your to watch your granddaughter compete.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's a big stage, and it's kind of like for a competitive bowler, it's kind of like a rite of passage for them to kind of really see what the competition is like throughout the whole world. Really, it really is good. It really is.
If I could just throw one more thought there that's interesting, and I'll personalize it real quick. My kids bowled Youth Open a couple years ago, and the squad that they bowled is the squad that's organized by Leslie Bone. I was standing with a buddy of mine, and when you look into the stands and see all the Hall of Famers that are sitting in the bleachers watching these kids bowl, and I leaned over to a buddy of mine and I said, "Hey, do you think Noah has any idea that there's 13 Hall of Famers watching him bowl tonight?" And so you take that kind of thought and then think about all the kids that are aspiring to be that, rubbing shoulders and elbows with the pros at our trade show, even when they're bowling, and having all of these, icons of our sport, moving in and out of the building, even though they're watching their kids in most cases. It's pretty amazing. I mean, it really is cool to have, some of the kids that want to aspire to be that, be able to stop one of them and have a conversation, even if it's just for an autograph or some words of encouragement. So, yeah, pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah. great.
And so and Leslie and Parker and the kids they're right in our back door, and our kids bowl in that squad too, and it's exciting to watch. But I think the first time that reality you see them in the bowling center watching their kids, you almost don't know what to do, and they're back by it. But hey, we're watching our kids, and you listen to them talk about watching their kids grow. I mean, Parker and Leslie got the opportunity to see their kid on TV. That's awesome, and so it's something that's really cool to see that next generation, and this is how that next generation is going to continue to want to bowl and be a part of something that's so much bigger, and to see it embraced by the professionals and those that have been doing it for a long time. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So aspirational value. This event alone has aspirational value for our younger bowlers, and so you touched on it a little bit. The PWBA. We're happy to have Kelly joining us on Saturday afternoon, and she'll get to talk about her experiences, and she's got a lot of them. So the industry came together and relaunched the PWBA Tour, and I think for us bowling fans, it's been exciting to watch over the last few summers. So obviously things are halted now. What's the future of PWBA for this season look like?
Yeah, we're waiting on a go. Obviously, we've pushed back, our plans, and we're just kind of pushing them back because it was set to start in April. The Queen's in mid-May. But as soon as we get a go, we'll activate it. Calendar, again, not on our side there because a lot of our, high-end players are collegiate coaches, and so they'll have to go back to work in the fall. But we'll get a group together, a pretty large group of players together to have some discussions in the next few weeks. But we're ready to, see what's possible with that. The later that this gets turned back on, the tougher it will be to operate all of the events that we want to run. So it could be a little smaller tour, but at the same time, we want to get them all in if we can. But really, it'll be in discussions with the players to figure out what's possible and how far we can go into the fall. They were off a piece of July, and so there's some weeks where we can catch up if it's a small number of weeks. But kind of same thing, just waiting on the green light, everybody's health and safe, and then we roll. That's kind of the same thing too. We've got folks that bowl on that tour from Malaysia and overseas too, and they've informed us that they won't be coming, which is sad too. But at the same time, just coming from all over the country, PWBA has been a lot of fun to work on. It's easy to smile and talking about it. Make sure you ask Kelly everything you can Sunday night about even years ago, and how she went from an incredible youth bowler to a collegiate bowler. When you think about how somebody becomes a bowling star, it starts in a youth league in a local bowling center, and it ends with the bright lights of a TV show. And Kelly knows that as good as anybody does. So it's been a lot of fun to work on, and we're looking forward to getting back to it.
So prior to the USBC life, being the executive director and being youth director at BPAA, you spent a lot of time in the lanes. So do you miss doing that tour rep job and being on the lanes with the bowlers? I
said it yesterday in my interview, and Kelly was one of the ones I tour rep for back in the old days, as I like to call it. Do I miss it? I miss parts of it. I always say that was one of the best jobs I've ever had. It was so rewarding when they bowled well. It had incredible highs and steep lows because you live and breathe with how your folks are bowling. But it was a lot of fun, working with folks like, Rick Steelsmith and Mike Albee and Wendy McPherson and Kim. There just was so many folks that I enjoyed immensely. Kelly and Tennille Milligan, two others. It just, it get kind of intoxicating at the time that you're getting ready to, sit that close to greatness. So it was a lot of fun. There's no doubt. Do I miss it? Yeah, I do in some cases. The hardest part now, I just had an interesting thing when the Hall of Fame Classic was at the training center in January. I'm watching, I don't mind saying it, Bill was on your show. I'm watching Bill just, bowl miserably. And I like to think I could still fix it. And that's not the way to go about doing it as the exec director or even a friend, because I'm not out there all the time now. But we still have folks that you root for. But yeah, I certainly miss parts of it for sure. It's it's easy to work on bowling and try to, make things better for all the folks out there in a different way than working with them, while they're on the lanes. But that was a fun time of my life for sure.
Okay. So, Chad, being the executive director of the USBC, you've had to make some unpopular decisions or guide the.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'll be right there. Man, we're out of time. I'm sorry, man. Go ahead. I'm totally kidding.
Or you've had to guide the association through some treacherous waters. Did it take you time to develop like a thicker skin or develop some strategies to deal with that criticism and sometimes hurtful words that people will say?
Sure. I think the simple answer is yeah,
Yeah.
or yes, ma'am, right? Depending on how you like to go about it. I would simply point at a couple things. One, in these jobs and working for a national governing body, we need people to push us. We need people who are critical of the things that we do to push us to do better. It's just that simple. And we try to listen to everybody. I always say all bowling is good, but within that, all information is good. And so if somebody doesn't like something that we're doing, it's easy to listen to them and try to understand it as long as it's done respectfully. And that's not always the case. Some of the name calling that goes on and some of that stuff, makes it a little bit tougher. But at the same time, we want all the information that we can get. And so we appreciate, being pushed and folks who are passionate about a position being critical. While at the same time, I really would be remiss if I didn't, I was probably more prepared for it because of some of the folks that I worked for prior to being at BPA and USBC. I worked for Bob Reed at Ebonite, who passed away recently, and I was in a meeting with Bob years ago, and he told me, hey, you're gonna have to develop a thicker skin. You care too much about what everybody's thinking and saying. You're running a good business here. Don't worry about the folks that are so critical, because you're not going to be able to please everyone. And that was in the ball business when we were trying to please, say 4,000 pro shops in distribution. And then some worldwide customers. But Bob's tutelage, the mentorship that I had while I was there, that piece of criticalness that he was giving me at that time really helped prepare me for this job and really understanding it. I attended his funeral recently. It's been a little bit of a tough time for those folks that, remember how the impact Bob had on us. But at the same time, I've worked for a lot of great folks. I've learned that a thick skin is important. And we just try to do what's in the best interest of bowling and for everyone as a whole. Each one of the programs, differently, a different group, if you will, but knowing that we try to be inclusive of everyone and we try to include everyone, while at the same time, everything we do isn't going to be popular. And so if you've done the work and you've listened to everybody, one of my favorite ways to operate business is put your best 5 folks in the room, listen to everybody, and the decision is usually clear. But always try to have somebody in the room that comes from a critical view. I think good things are possible when you have like-minded folks in the room. I think great things are possible if you listen to everybody and have all sides. And so if you've done that, it makes it a little easier to have a thicker skin, if you will. I appreciate the question, Naz, because it's something I get asked a lot, because there is a lot of critical nature. But I don't think bowling is any different than any other sport. If you talk to the gentlemen that lead the USGA or the USTA or some of the other sports, even Major League Baseball, a lot of folks critical of the NBA and their shutdown, 2 Wednesdays ago. But I give Adam Silver a lot of credit. They had a player that was diagnosed with this, horrible disease, and then bang, they shut down the season. And within an hour, we had information out on the street about how that one player had impacted 7 other teams. That's powerful stuff, and he made it easier for a lot of us in this time. But in my now 10 years working at the governing body, a thick skin comes with the job. And thanks for the question.
Thank you for your truthful and honest answer. I think in this time in particular, we always welcome, people who are true leaders welcome a dissenting opinion. because you want, like you said, you want that pushback. I want to explore everything possible, and that doesn't seem to be the problem. It just seems to be more the mean spirited, uh, more personal attacks that are more hurtful and not. They don't help anybody. They don't help push things forward.
Yeah, and I think I appreciate that, and I would try to find it this way. I mean, when it gets personal, you kind of put it on ignore, but when it's done respectfully, and even some of the folks that we're always bringing groups into the campus to talk about things. Frankie sat on several of them, obviously, by being president of USBC. He's seen it directly, but there aren't any decisions that we're making here where we don't bring groups of people in, and the folks that are respectful with their dissent are usually candidates to get an invite in. And so that's kind of the interesting part of it, is that we want that information. It's important to have. Every member, has an opinion, and we want to hear them all. We just hope that it's respectful. And for the most part, it is. It really is. Facebook has opened a door, to another piece of it. But even some of that has helped us, believe it or not, to be better and pushed us to do better. We want to build a national governing body that everybody's proud of, while at the same time our core business is governance. Two people with a dispute and rules both have 5 people behind them, and at the end of the rules, mediation, we don't make a whole lot of people happy because we enforce the rules. And so some of it comes with the job, but I appreciate your perspective on it too, because we do want that dissenting opinion, because it'll help make us better down the road.
Yeah, I mean, you put the right people in the right place at the right time, you make good decisions. I know firsthand that's something that we've done at USBC. And people don't always agree, but I mean, that's the world we live in too, and that's okay. But bowling first, right? Bowling in our organization first. And I think that's what most important people have to realize. And it's no different than making business decisions here at the bowling center. I mean, there are times that we get looked at, go, what are you doing that for? But it's what's best at the time and what's best for our business. And even for it's a global look. It's not just for one person. It's for everybody that soaks in what we do. So it's been tough, but hey, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, and Naz, if you don't mind, just for a second, the other thing that makes it really easy is having volunteer leaders that are engaged in the business, like Frankie, has been and was, and Carl now, and the board, and you've done a lot of work there, that Frankie would have been doing that allowed him to do that. And so it really is an ecosystem that has to have a lot of spokes in the wheel, and you and your folks at Rabs there that have allowed Frankie to hit the phone at 7 o'clock at night sometimes, or 10 o'clock at night. He's a big part of it too, but that also makes it easier because the planning that goes into it and the things that with that. So even though I'm saying really nice things about Frankie, Naz, you've got a huge part in it too, and thanks for playing your role, because that's the only way it works. Everybody working together.
It just trickle down. Everybody pitches in here, so it's a team. Truly is a team.
I always say, and you've heard me say this before, I've been really lucky. And when even at a young age and traveling and doing things like, where are you going? Why? What are you doing? And you brush it off, and then all of a sudden you go through these years of traveling and not being here. And this is an important, it's business, family and business first. And then this is, I had great opportunities to be able to do what I've done and being involved, but I couldn't do it without the team here. And I have to say, we're truly blessed. Our family's very lucky with the group that we have here. And, sometimes we don't say it enough. And so I appreciate you saying that, because it really is true. I mean, the only difference today is now they look at me asking me when I'm traveling again.
Well, good for them for that too.
United Airlines might miss me, but I think my staff is our team here, and our family. This is the team and the staff here are our family, and it's our own community. And they were sick of me for a little while, but they finally got real used to me being around again. It's been a learning curve for me too.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Well, hey, Chad, we really do appreciate you stopping in and joining us. This has been great, and we're trying to have as much fun and with our guests and for everybody at home. I have to say, I'm glad you're not doing. So Del Warren was with us the other day, and he got, I don't know, probably about 10, we joked around about 10,000 steps in. He was roaming around on his phone, which was probably better for his Wi-Fi connection that he was moving around. But hey, you look great, and I'm glad that you trimmed your beard for us today. We appreciate it. I know you've been working hard, but typically you'd be on the phone walking around the neighborhood. I mean, have you made new neighborhood friends doing that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're pretty engaged in our neighborhood already, but I will say that this, virus has a lot more people on my route than is normally there. There's a lot more people out moving around, and so that's good. But I'm sure you've Naz. I don't know if you know the story, but Frankie, obviously, I decided to grow a beard and actually commit to it for the first time in my life, and so I let it get pretty long in the beginning. And magically, I had this anonymous box land on my desk, which had a trimmer in it. And Danielle, who I work with every day, it didn't have a receipt in the box, no return, or nothing. And so she said, "Well, somebody just sent that to you anonymously?" And I said, "No, Frank Wilkinson did." I said, "I don't know if it's a message to trim the beard or eliminate it, but I'll certainly inquire." So thanks for that, Frankie.
No. I think Jen might appreciate it more than anything.
That was a funny day.
Yes, it's funny that you talk about the neighborhood being crowded. We were talking about this yesterday and how the streets are a little quieter. Nobody's honking their horn and yelling at people, road rage. But so now there's more people on your route. Is there sidewalk rage? Is anybody yelling, "Get the F out of the way"?
Yeah, no, but you can tell those that are most concerned about this virus and the ones that are least. One of the reasons why I've been able to be so committed to, this weight loss, if you will, and the exercise is because, I just find something that I'm interested in, and it allows me to go longer, right, in my ear. And the bowling media has really expounded in the last few years. Guys like the Sweep the Rack guys and Tim Berg doing podcasts and John Mark's podcast. So in a lot of cases, I'm listening to things that are happening in bowling on my route. But here lately, it's hard not to, I always wave and have been waving, or I give a little peace sign, and that kind of tells somebody, another runner, or somebody that's out there for the exercise. But there's just so many people out now. It's hard to not stop and have a conversation and say hello. And I think this is one of the ways that, bowling centers have been gathering places for a long time, right? We are the social media, before there were social media. I really believe that. And now, by not having people in bowling centers and some other places, people are doing it out on their front sidewalk. And I've enjoyed it. I think it's something that I hope will continue. We're all here doing it at a distance because that's the new normal. But it's not uncommon for two people on separate sidewalks with a street in the middle, hollering back and forth at each other, which is odd in and of itself, because you probably would have shared a hug or something. But now it's happening so regularly. It's a good thing.
I mean, come live in New York City and live in Brooklyn. You'll know all about people yelling at each other from their stoops.
Oh yeah, you guys know all about it. You guys, that's par for the course there. We've talked about that in the past, but I've got nothing but love for New York and what's going on there right now, especially the folks that have been impacted in the medical services, and we're rooting for everybody.
I got a tip for you. So last Saturday before we closed, one of our bowlers, Joni Pesolano, had a sign. She does the 50-50, so she refused to touch anybody's money. So the money, they didn't collect money that night. It was almost like digital currency. Like, I got to give you money, put it somewhere, I'm not touching it. But she wore a sign, "Stay away, don't touch me." So maybe you need a sign for your fellow runners.
Yeah, maybe that's the way I ought to do it. I can put something. Yeah, that's interesting. I'll try that a little later.
Well, Chad, thanks for popping in and joining us. We know you're a busy guy. We really do appreciate you spending this time and answering our questions. And what we always say Joe Bruno says that the bowling community wants
wants to know.
And so we appreciate you doing that for us today.
Yep. Keep up the good work. Thanks for doing it. We love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Go back to your family. Have some fun.
All right. Be soon. Be well.
Thanks, Chad. Oh, good old Chad. Oh, we appreciate Chad really. I say it, but we do appreciate him taking the time.
He's candid and honest, and he's got a wealth of knowledge, and we love having him here. So
I mean, he's got stories.
He's got
a lot of stories. I'm sure we could have asked him. Maybe we'll have him back.
We'll have him back.
We might have to get a drink in his hands. That might help. But that's not on the plan. That's not on. Maybe you take the drink walking and then you talk to us. We don't get him on camera. So thank you, Chad. Hey, Nez. The rest of the weekend and the rest of the week for our show looks pretty good. Tomorrow we've got a special guest.
Pam Silvestri is going to be joining us, the Staten Island Advanced Food Editor.
And if you're watching anything that she's doing, she's been letting people know what restaurants are open for takeout, delivery, and the food scene here. And she's going to talk about food. I mean that's what we love food. Why wouldn't we talk about food? So Pam's going to be here tomorrow, and then Saturday, Super Pro Bowler Saturday.
Pro Bowler Saturday. Joe Cal and Joe Bruno will be here interviewing PBA and PWBA champion Kelly Kulik, which Frankie mentioned earlier. So we're really looking forward to that.
And then Sunday we are on at a special time. So 7:00 on Sunday night. So we'll have dinner together. We've got pizza delivery happening here. So maybe we'll have some pizza Saturday night here in the studio. Sunday night, excuse me. So Sunday night, special time, mark your calendar, 7:00. Every other day we are here at 2:00. Kevin reminds us that it's about 2:05 or so. But come back and join us tomorrow for Pam, some more bowling, some more talk about food. Hey, before we sign off, our meme of the day, it's not really a meme today. It's more of a photo. This comes from a bowling center in Starlight Lanes in Flagstaff, Arizona. They were having some fun with this. You're going to read it for yourselves. But hey, you're trying to make light of the situation. This is the sign outside the bowl. I got a good laugh out of this. So we'll say, as we usually remind you to.
That's about as risque as we're going to get.
Wash your hands. While we're taking care of those things inside the bowling. I mean, you have to have some humor during this time. That's how we all get through it. And funny, I believe they took this down from their page, so I was able to grab it before, but it's been circling all over the place. I mean, if we had a sign outside, we'd probably be a little similar creative,
probably
too. So, well, thank you for joining us again today.
Don't forget, like and share our broadcast.
If you're watching us on YouTube, if you didn't catch us live, like, subscribe, and share with your friends as well.
Did you find out where the button is?
No, the button's here.
Down there.
It might be here, actually.
You think it's? I don't know. Wherever it is, it's somewhere around here. Press it.
Button, share with your friends. Be sure to join us tomorrow. Until then, hey, you know what? We haven't used this one. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.